welcome Professor Sudhanshu Rai. Now, I know you are associate professor at the Copenhagen Business School, and essentially your work revolves around two things, right? One is innovation in emerging economy,
Yes.
and second is neurological impact of meditation on innovation. You've led many EU-funded projects. You sit on many academic boards. Your projects have included mapping and understanding innovation in countries like India, China, Philippines, Vietnam. And as you're aware, we run a multifamily office. So our clients typically are business leaders or entrepreneurs who've created successful businesses, right?
Right.
And during the discussion, a few things have come up quite often with them.
Mm-hmm.
So one is, how do they get innovation and technology in the business?
Right.
The second is, how do they marry innovation and technology with the traditional styles of business?
Right.
And I think the third, which is also very close to their heart, is how to integrate the next generation into this business.
Right.
I know you worked with a lot of people, worked with a lot of leaders, and the next generation of affluent families and family businesses to help them guide through some of these questions.
Right.
So I thought it'd be a good idea to, let's get some insights on what you're doing and how we can address some of these questions.
Right. Right.
And just to start with, how do you mentor these next generation of leaders? How do you enable them to see their existing business or new ventures through the lens of innovation?
Right.
Right.
I think there are two important key operating words. One is leadership and one is mentoring. So let's unfold these two ideas before we go on to a detailed explanation. So, for example, leadership is not a position in a company. Leadership is related to purpose. So when we say there are leaders and we say leaders are holding position, that is not really a definition of a leader from my point of view.
Okay.
My point of view, leadership is not about purpose. Sorry, it's not about position at all, but it is about purpose. Leaders have purpose. And maybe over time, all right, they create positions for themselves. But fundamentally, the core driver, the core indicator of a leader is he's purposeful, right? So how does it work in an organization? How do we talk about the leadership idea within an organization milieu? And if we relate leadership to an organization milieu, and then we say, here is a vice president, and he's a leader, I think that is erroneous. Yes, you give him a position or interpersonal function. It can be measured, but I would refrain from the word measurement.
Okay.
So if you say, if there is a position, and then you say, by default he's a leader, I tend not to agree.
Okay.
I tend to agree that a leadership creates his purpose. A position there may be a leadership role in a position. So what is mentoring? Often we misunderstand, in my opinion, what mentoring is. For me, mentoring is not advising. Mentoring is not telling the person what is right and what is wrong. Mentoring is not about creating a goal for that person. Mentoring is not advising. I've just highlighted some of the points. Then the question is, if I say mentoring is not, then what it is? What is it? Mentoring is a process of discovery of an inner generated passion canvassed by the motive of the person wrapped in a goal. Right? So now I'm saying many things. I have to unfold that a little bit. So what is this inner motivation, right? So mentoring is a person who shows all of this, who doesn't do advice. So what I'm saying is an inner motive. So for a mentor is to get that inner motive out, that passion going. Then to create a self-belief in the person that I can do it no matter how many drawbacks I have, right? Then it is the person's unfolding of a goal. So the goal will not emerge just automatically. The goal emerges slowly over time. You mature, you try, you fail, you mature, you try. Every success, there is some element of failure. So for example, you may have a great success, but you may go through some elements of failure. Now, the mentee will also say, hey, don't get too bloated in your head. These are things that you've not done so properly, and make sure that you take care of them. So the mentor's job is to be there, walk along the mentee, and if the mentee falls, pick him up, and put him on track again, and give him the energy, the fortitude, the power, and the conviction to carry on.
You will just show them the right path and help them create that ecosystem and environment. The journey is there. You're just kind of showing them how should they go along with it.
I would say show them a path. Whether it is right or wrong, that is only to be decided by the application of a solution or whatever that may be.
Okay.
The right or wrong, it's only time will tell whether it's right or wrong. But a path that the mentee has conviction on, and the mentor can see that he's ready to take that path. So I prepare the mentee so that he's ready to take the path. Whether that path will yield him great results, there are no guarantees. There's only trial and error, right? And then we as mentors think that we can insulate the journey of an entrepreneur so that he or she can only have successes. And that is an illusion. That can never be. That can never happen.
So taking this forward, in many of the cases, and specifically in business families, we see that the next generation, while have the resources, are capable, but they do not want to work in the family business, right? And so what are the cases you've seen, and how should they start thinking about at least forming that path, right? Or at least identifying what path do they want to go in?
Yeah, often my experience, particularly in the subcontinent in India, me being an Indian myself, I think there are two fundamental faults. What is one fault line? One fault line, and the fault line exists between two types of visualizations of the same thing. We are calling business, right? One visualization is a trade mindset. And the trade mindset says, well, for me, I have X invested, I want X plus 3, X plus 4. Then you have the more modern kind of thinking, the more modern kind of understanding is a value mindset, which is a value, it's a more business mindset. There, it's not about X plus 3. It's about X plus 10,000 or X plus 1,000. But there, the focus is not price arbitrage, or the focus is not incremental income. The focus is not trying to cut down on operational costs or trying to cut corners here or whatever, remove input costs and things like that. There, the focus is creating sustained value over a long period of time. Okay, no matter how much the price is, if you create sustained value, then there would be an argument to be had that you will survive over a longer period of time. So having said this, the fault line between the families is between these two ideas. The idea of trade mindset against the idea of business mindset. And for people with trade mindset, they cannot understand value. They find it extremely difficult to understand value. And even though they want to understand value, they understand value in terms of trade, right? Meaning that हम 10 का 20 क्यों नहीं बना सकते? Why should I, for instance, why would I want to be interested in value when I can make from 10 to 40? That I'm good enough for that. That is my focus. Or 10 to 50, that is enough for me. But a value mindset guy, he's not interested in just 10 to 50. He's interested in conquering the world. His interest is the whole. His interest is not entirely the local market, but also the global market. It is his value. He's talking about value,
right? So so perfect. So taking this again one step forward, right? Many times what we see is people in the key decision making, they've done the traditional style of business. They know they need innovation, technology into the business, and there's often friction, and the friction just amplifies and multiplies if it's between two generations. Because, and it very well could be what you said, because the next generation is thinking about value, and maybe the traditional style of business is thinking more about trade, arbitrage trade. But having said that, the traditional style of business has worked, right? So how do you go about integrating these, right? How do you think about integrating these? And, also to kind of, again, extend this, how do you think about increasing the traditional skill base that you have, right? So one is get the innovation, get the technology, how do you integrate?
Right.
Second, while integrating
I would say families address it in very unique ways.
Okay.
Right. Some families, by default, send their kids to fantastic universities, great experiences abroad, great experiences from the world. But when they come back, that's where the tension is. The tension is not between two generations. I think the tension is between two ideas. All right. One idea is that we go slow and steady. We build ground up, which is also and it has worked. Why shouldn't it work before? Right. The other option, the other thing is that because it has worked, there is no point doing the same thing again and again. We want more from the same effort. So the other, the newer argument is that I want to get more from little. So I invest little, I want to get maximum. Whereas the older argument would be that I've invested 10, I'm not really interested in making it 1,000, 30 will do for me. Right? So it's more a step-by-step expansion, a step-by-step approach, more focus on grow locally, then slowly, regionally. In itself, it's not a bad strategy. It has worked, as you said, and why should it? Just try and understand the empirical way how people do things, and the modern understand the methodologically driven, clarity-oriented, goal-oriented, conceptually driven ideas of the modern educational system. Then I think they would be able to work much better together.
And you've seen any examples that have kind of, really come out to you and kind of hit you and said, oh, this is great how they've done it, right? Which was a conflict which kind of.
If you look at our own Indian, if you look at the entire, the large community of producers who create spare parts for cars, and they had this dilemma, but they married the two. Okay. And now they're doing exceptionally well. Then there are other companies that who were traditional, but the more modern people both had a conversation, and they went. I would say some of the leather companies in Chennai, they used to make. They were very traditional. Then they went on a more value added or value driven market access strategy, something like that, and it worked for them. Okay, most of our education, we do MBAs and all. It's just theory and concepts, right? And when we come and start using theories and concepts and throwing it all about, in front of an older generation, they just don't have the patience to listen. I said, "What the hell are you doing? I've been doing this exactly for hundreds of years." Yeah, right. So why? Just because you come up with a new word, that doesn't mean it is valid. I can show you empirically what you're saying. I have been doing it for hundreds of years. Yeah. Right. So that's where the fault line is. I don't know whether you've experienced. No, I have. Another thing that is they have learned. These when they marry. Yeah. They have learned that leadership begins with followership. Okay. For a leader to emerge as a leader, you have to learn to follow first before you can be a leader, right? Also, leader. When you marry these two systems, then they also evolve that leadership is not a position game. It's a purpose game. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And these two genres, when they combine, they realize this. Yeah. And then it becomes far more exciting for both the young and the old to really work together. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And since we talked about some businesses, in your experience, what other sectors, the industry, the business that you see are undergoing disruption because of innovation and technology, and they should kind of start to marry these two value systems sooner rather than later, right? Before they come. The older trading, the larger families that have been doing trading, who have based their entire success stories, particularly the traders from Calcutta, who have they continue to do huge trading. They need to reflect about how to move forward and how to bring in the younger generation and see how that can work. Okay. Then there also in the transport industry. Yeah. Right? I think that is poised for a complete revolution. Right. And here you need to work with the unit of analysis, which is time per liter of use, right? And also you need to work with the people who are actually shipping the materials, so the drivers and all of that. You need to take care of them. Otherwise, it makes it very difficult for efficiency to be had. So, I mean, the transport industry for me, the operational side of business, the operational side, that is undergoing, huge changes. For instance, warehousing, operations, trucking, all of that. Okay, we'll see a huge revolution in the next. I think it's already happening, but it'll get faster and faster and faster because the cost will get lower and lower because there'll be that huge efficiency gains to be had in that area. Right. So one of the things which I'm kind of understanding is that leadership is as much about your capability and your knowledge. It's as much about how you as a person, how well you know yourself, and how well you know others around you. Right. So I think it's data at the same time, as you said, it's value creation, right? Two different concepts, and I think that's what makes a leader. A leader can be very capable, intelligent, and highly capable, but if he misses these, if he doesn't know himself well, if he doesn't have this tool to see the 360 degrees, then he may not be able to emerge as the leader with purpose, as you said. Right. Okay. Right. So I mean, for me, the discovery of purpose is also a discovery of refinement of the self. No. Okay. Right. And the leader keeps refining himself again and again and again and again. So it's as much an external journey as it is an internal journey. So if a leader is only on an external journey, then for me, he's just half a leader. Yeah. When he is in an internal journey as well, that means refinement. Then he is a complete package. Yeah. So he'll be able to. He has the potential to be embedded in the 360 opportunity of the instance of the moment. So lastly, so we've discussed the two value systems, right? We've discussed how different. What do you see is the future of innovation in emerging economies, and where should the HNI, the families, and the businesses be investing?
so that they're part of the future.
Right. And I've just finished a research project on non-industrial production systems, and I wanted to find out whether innovation existed in India, and the word innovation I've just taken as a conceptual idea, right? And whether it existed prior to Industrial Revolution, right? And it has gone on for 5 years now. I'm collecting the data. And it's not ready yet. I'm not done yet. I'm still chewing. I'm still reflecting. So it's not complete. But one of the very preliminary, very little tiny sparks that I am beginning to realize is that innovation in India existed for centuries and centuries. The approach was different. And one of the approaches for the Indian innovation system was it was community based. And when you had community level in innovation, you had many paths. People used to take many paths. And the conversation between the path takers used to be very enriching. And at some point, all these paths that different innovators would take would combine together in one or two, right? And then everybody will then copy that one or two. So it's a very curious and interesting and inspiring process of constant communication, constant engagement, constant dialogue. But the community was vibrant. The community had to be there. Well, you take any community in the country, you had a product that the community was responsible for putting out there, right? And this community, if you want to kill the product, you kill the community. And so for me, with the advent of the industrial age, I think we had, in my opinion, a little bit of misunderstanding between how do we continue with how do we continue to encourage local innovation and use the benefits of the intellectual prowess which gave rise to the Industrial Revolution. How do we marry the two? Sometimes we succeeded, sometimes we failed, right, as a country, all right? The areas where we failed was that we were not able to keep the community, in simple terms, it's also called communities of practice, right? We were not able to keep the communities of practice going. So the community started breaking up. And therefore, the traditional way to create knowledge, make sense, has been, to my mind, disrupted to a large extent. So now you have innovation in India happening, but they're not sustained over a long period of time. They are more only related to markets. All right, but that's one part. The other part is that the people who sustained these communities were wealthier people who used to patronize some community work, such as you take Banarsi sari, for instance, or you take any of these community artifacts. And these people used to put, that was their market. And they were very important feedback to the creators. So they also told the community what they would like to buy in the future. And the community incorporated it.
Okay.
But the drawback of that kind of system was that it didn't have large markets. Right. So somebody from Chennai who wanted a Banarsi sari had to travel all the way to Banaras to get a Banarsi sari, right? So therefore, it was not meant for mass market. It was meant for local markets or regional markets. But with the modern system, we are trying to do mass marketing, right? And that creates its own opportunities and challenges. So what I see in India in terms of innovation is there is a very fertile ground for innovation. Extremely fertile ground. Indian mind is, to my understanding, the way I've seen it, is fundamentally an inquiring mind. It's a seeking mind. It's not a believing mind. If you say believe in this, they will say why. Right.
So that's the question.
You have 20,000 questions. The book Argumentative Indian is a precise coinage of the nature, or one kind of nature of Indian, right? So it is an inquiring mind. It is a mind that always seeks. It is not a belief mind. Therefore, it's quite fertile. It's fertile for the pickings. The challenge is that we are trying to mold that mind in a particular form. And sometimes the tension comes there. Right? So therefore, because we are molding it, that mind forgets that it's an inquiring mind and becomes lazy and say, okay, let's just copy paste. We take from outside and copy paste and reproduce. And that causes tension in that person's mind, right? Because fundamentally, the nature of Indian, as I understand it, is completely inquiry. We always will inquire. It's a digging mind. And if you put it in a large organization structure and that there and the other, then I think you will have some challenges to get that mind to innovate. So the end result is how should companies create innovation? So in my understanding, I think the company's operations should be completely different from the company's innovation hub. They should have completely two different cultures, if not two different locations, if not two different sets. Let the inquiring mind be the creator, and then let the other guys who are sitting in organizations take this and say, okay, now how do we sell it? Okay. I would, particularly in India, I don't think marrying the two and bringing it in the right format of an organization. In India, it will not. I don't think it will. It's my opinion. I don't think it will. It will survive. It will succeed. I think it's much better to allow the inquiring mind to flourish as an inquiring mind.
Okay. No, that's a good way to put it. That how do you create innovation in large companies or businesses? Keep them separate because both the journeys and both the processes are very different. Great. Thank you so much for taking the time and doing this. It was great to understand, what actually a leader is. What does mentoring mean? How, what are the different value systems? Traditional a trader value system and conceptually creating actually creating a value. How they're two different.
Right.
Conflicts in marrying them. What happens when you marry them? And and I think one of the key things is what I learned is that the journey of a leader is both 50% internal and 50% external.
Absolutely.
It's a 360-degree journey.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for giving us all those insights.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Thanks
a lot. You're welcome. Thank you.